And then once that is going, I'll go ahead and go into my introduction, and then I'll introduce you, and then we'll start the conversation.
Sounds good.
All right, so just give me 1 second here while this is loading. All right, good, good, good. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, great, man. All right, so welcome to That's a Bet podcast, where we talk about the intersection of barbering, entrepreneurship, and technology. Today's special guest is a barbershop owner, a barber college owner, voted the best barbershop in 2022, and he's the author of Life Lessons I Learned from Barbering. He's out of Marietta, Georgia, and he's also known for his new book coming out called Resilience Standing Tall on One Leg. And he's in the process of building his barber college enrollment for his new building that he just purchased and that is opening this month. I think you guys are going to absolutely love this conversation. So without any welcome shop owner, school owner, and author, Mr. Travis Sanders. How you doing today, Travis?
Fantastic. Great to be here. Glad to have me. Appreciate it. Can't wait to chop it up.
And great, man. Great, great. I'm glad that we have you in here today. All right. So man, you got a heavy resume. Um have you always really been ambitious since, you've been an adult, or does that go back into your childhood? Have you always been an ambitious person?
I have been. My mentors, my uncle, my grandfather were entrepreneurs. And even growing up, when I was in high school, junior high school, I would, be in the neighborhood and shoveling snow in the winter, cutting grass in the summer. Back in the day, go to grocery stores and ask people if they needed the groceries carried out to their car, get some change, stuff like that. So going forward, going back, yes, I have been.
Okay. Owning multiple businesses and working on multiple projects, what strengths do you believe have contributed most to your success in managing and growing your business ventures that you have going on right now?
Discipline, focus, um, knowing your purpose, and a lot of this stuff I learned again from my mentors. I learned from experiences in owning a shop, and a lot of that, yeah, I put into the book to let people understand the different lessons that I've learned from barbering and from life put together. So a lot of this is in my book.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned discipline. Now a lot of times when I talk to people about discipline, people kind of use discipline and motivation interchangeably. But let me ask you, when you say discipline, what does discipline mean to you? Because I want to see if it has a different meaning than motivation, or is it something similar to you? What is discipline when you say discipline?
Discipline is when you don't have the motivation to
Okay.
do what you need to do, but you get up and you do it anyway, day in and day out. You show up to your clients on time and you give them the service that they deserve, regardless of how you feel on that particular day. Regardless of how you motivate or inspire, you do it anyway, you move forward. So
Okay.
I don't think they're interchangeable.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm in the same boat with you. And I try not to always correct people when they do that. But is it pretty easy for you to stay disciplined, or is that a skill that you had to acquire over time, or is that something that you've always came easy to you to be disciplined?
I don't think it ever really comes easy to anybody, but it's developed over time, playing and being involved with sports, which I always tell some of my clients who are parents. I say you should always get your kids involved in some type of sports because it creates that disciplined environment to have to go to practice every day and do the things you don't want to do. So when the weekend comes, you get to play in the game and perform at a level that you want to perform at. But yeah,
Right. Right. What sport did you play, man?
I grew up playing pretty much all of them, football, baseball, basketball, but my main love was football.
Okay, okay. What position was you at?
Tight end and linebacker.
Okay, okay. So you've been able to kind of take the sports that you played in when you were younger and extract the discipline that you learned from those activities and actually apply those to your life and to your business
Oh, no
and
doubt.
oh yeah, yeah,
What?
that's
Yeah,
that's pretty dope. And so you said you recommend parents getting their children into sports just, primarily even for just the discipline part of it.
yeah. Any sport. I mean, mostly I would advise obviously a team sport because I grew up playing team sports. But team sports, gives you the discipline, but it also gives you have to be forced to interact and engage with people you don't know. Maybe you might not even like, but for the betterment of the team, you got to
Hmm.
come together.
Right, right, right. Now I get that. And that's kind of contrary to being a barber because it's such an individual thing, unless you go into the leadership aspect of it, when you get into shop ownership or, barber college ownership and different things like that. Um, I just kind of wonder how many barbers out there, have a problem with the team aspect part of it. Was it an adjustment for you, like being a team oriented person going into like such a solo individual type of profession, or did
Yes.
you have any problem? Okay, so explain how that was.
Well, it, everybody doesn't have the same view of professionalism and customer service as I do. So from that aspect, it's hard to deal with other barbers in your surroundings and your clients having to deal with how they interact with their clients or just their atmosphere that they create.
Right, right, and that's pretty big. I know. Oh man. Okay, you still there?
Yes. Can you
Okay,
hear me?
okay. Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I got you. Nah, I get that, man. That definitely resonate with me. Growing up, I did sports. I was a wrestler. I wrestled for 10 years. And that's an individual sport for the most
Right.
part.
Right.
You know,
Right. Right.
so that kind of went right along with being a barber, but I do understand what you mean when you say, you're in a barber shop and, your idea of professionalism is different from other barbers and that can create, tension. But you mentioned another thing when you were describing your strengths. You mentioned that you got this ability to focus, like in terms of focusing, how do you cultivate your focus for your projects and your endeavors that you have going on? How do you stay focused?
Just being organized and knowing what the goal is in front of you
Hmm.
to, not get deterred by distractions on the path, right, left. As far as in barbering, my focus helps me focus all my attention on my client and not getting caught up in outside conversation with other people and giving
Hmm.
the client the attention they need um, from that aspect as far as focus.
Okay, okay, yeah, and that's getting increasingly harder, in this modern age of technology and social media. And do you spend a lot of time on social media at all?
I don't really. I mean, from from a business aspect, I'll post things on my different pages, but as far as just randomly scrolling, no, because it's a time suck.
I definitely understand that, man. Definitely. So, um, with the empire that I'm learning about you that building here, did you always have this particular vision, to go from being a barber to being a shop owner to having a college to writing books? Was that your vision from the beginning, or did you kind of pick that up along the way?
It kind of evolved over in time. So, always wanted to be a shop owner, right? And
Uh-huh.
then once I became a shop owner, and then I went back to school and got my instructor's license, I wanted to have a barber school and open one up. Then
Mm-hmm.
opportunity came about around COVID, where the school I attended, the owner decided he wanted to retire, and my cousin, who's my partner at the school, um, touched base with him, and in a visit, you just stop by the barber school, check out the instructor. He ain't been seen in a while, and then Walt, the owner, previous owner, said, "I plan on closing the school or selling it."
Mm-hmm.
Then he asked him if he Marcel, my cousin, would be interested. So Marcel called me and asked me, "Will I be interested in purchasing our old school?" So from there, I flew down because this is in Michigan. I
Oh,
flew
okay, okay,
down,
okay. I was wondering if it's here or not.
right? Yeah, that's in Michigan. I flew down and talked to Wall. We negotiated a price and cut a deal, and we became owners probably about 3 years ago, at least 3 years ago. Just yeah, around COVID time. But then
Okay.
the book, I always wanted to write a book, but I
Mm-hmm.
never thought about what the topic would be. And then the book evolved from once we purchased the school,
Mm-hmm.
one of the local papers did an article on me being a student and then turning into an owner, right? That
Mm-hmm.
article evolved into a documentary that a friend of
Mm-hmm.
mine who was a film and media student at SCAD,
Mm-hmm.
um, Savannah Arts School, and he asked me if I would be interested in doing a documentary for his thesis about my story. And I gave him the article. He read the article, thought that was be interesting documentary. So then he filmed here. He filmed at the school in Michigan. He filmed for like 3, 4, 5 days, and then he used the documentary. And it's on YouTube. It's on my different pages. It's about 6 minutes long, but it's just basically the backstory of how I went from student to
Right.
owner.
Right.
So then from that, then that evolved into the book.
Okay.
So the front half of the book is about my backstory and then the progression of my career and how I learned what I learned, life lessons. And yeah, so it kind of all connected.
Wow. That's crazy, man. And you never had any idea that when you started out in barbering, it was gonna lead to all of this.
Not even a little, no.
That's crazy. In a good way, man. In a good way.
Yeah.
Um, I know a lot of people that are listening or that will listen, um, will have questions about what I'm about to ask you because we all had to come through the barber colleges in order to get into the industry. Well, at least 95% of us. Some people out there that, either is just
Shortcut.
is shortcutting it. Um, but what was the process like for you, in terms of buying a building for a barber college? That's something that a lot of barbers kind of aspire to be, beyond a barber college. And, I've thought about it for, myself personally. I'm a licensed barber instructor in Ohio, and you know, I had similar conversations with the owner of possibly wanting to sell the school, but it didn't work out. But I know it's something that a lot of barbers think about. Like, what was that process for you like, in terms of buying a building for a barber college?
So when we initially bought the school, the owner didn't own the building. He was leasing the building.
Mm-hmm.
So we leased from the previous owner for a year and a half or so. And then the owner decided he wanted to do something different with the building and said that we had to move. So then we went into building search for 6, 8 months.
Mm,
Um, Finding the building was challenging because we had to have enough space to accommodate because the current school is 35 chairs. So we needed enough, and it's about 4,000 square feet. So the new building is 8,000 square feet.
wow.
Um, so once we got the building, it was finding the building wasn't was a challenge. Once we
Uh-huh.
got the building, the biggest challenge was the build out, how we wanted to lay out, how we wanted to look, what the floors want to be like, what the walls want to be like, new stations. But in any project, you run into um, hiccups,
Mm-hmm.
which I've heard people talk about it, but I hadn't experienced it. So the HVAC unit was an issue, and we had to pour more money into that to repair that than we anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
So then we had to go back to the bank and get more money for that. But fortunately, with the new building being twice as big, we're in a position to there's two levels. School's going to be up on the top level, and then we're going to rent out the bottom level. So we'll be able to generate some more revenue
Mm.
from the tenant that we found for the lower level. So
Oh,
that helps the financing process.
so that's a how many businesses will you guys be renting out to on the bottom level? Is it one big
Just
space?
one, just
Okay.
one. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But
Yeah,
the
man,
biggest
that's
issue, though, is finalizing the plumbing, um, electricity, plumbing, electrical inspections and passing by the city. Then, of course, when you transfer, you in Michigan, in most places, when you go from one building to another building, you have to reapply for a new license. It's not like you
mhm.
can transfer the license from the barber school license from one building to the next. You got to reapply all over again, resubmit a new bond, resubmit a new layout. Everything is like they know the process will be faster because you had one before, but you still have to do the same thing all over again.
Mm. Wow. And that's one of the things I was going to talk to you and ask you about if it was difficult when it came to getting the city involved, with the permits and uh, different things like that. Is that a pretty extensive process when it comes to getting approval from the city? And I'm not talking about the state board, but like the local counties and the city ordinances coming in and approving everything.
It's just time consuming because
Oh.
government moves slow. So I mean,
Right, right. And
it
you
is
got
what
and
it
you
is.
got and you got money on the line. You trying to get this thing moving quick, man.
Still paying rent in one location while paying mortgage in a new location. So yeah, that's an issue.
Wow. So you probably had to have a super intense amount of focus and planning in place to be able to go through those type of hurdles, when you have to depend on the city taking their time. Um, I don't know if you have to, is there any politics involved, or anything like that?
No,
Did you? Okay. I remember owning a barber shop in Ohio, and uh the landlord over the building, or the owner of the plaza, he would always go down to city hall, and he was a member of different boards and stuff like that, and he was always playing politics. And I remember he got involved with somebody in politics in the wrong type of way, and they came to his plaza, and they made all the businesses do these sign permits, because of what he was involved in, politically. They came and attacked his tenants. And so we had to pay these. Well, they didn't make us pay the sign fees. They paid them for us, because they knew why it had happened. But hopefully you don't have to go through anything like that, because you moving up the ladder.
none of that. Mm-mm.
Okay. So, um, in terms of, getting financing and getting approved for a project like that, something that I know a lot of barbers will be interested in. What do you recommend or think will be the best thing for barbers to do who are interested in a similar project in their city when it comes to getting financing for something like a commercial building in order to open up a school or even a barbershop?
Well, once if they already have basically establishing business credit
Okay.
and aligning yourself with networking and relationships with your local bank and showing them that you will be capable of paying back the loan. Fortunately for me and my cousin, the bank we used, the vice president of that bank was a friend of ours that we knew before he even got that position. So he helped us along the process a lot.
Mm. So when you say business credit, um, it, is that are you distinguishing that from personal credit, or are you
So
talking about both?
no, business having your business name, because it's two totally different credits.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're looking to purchase a commercial business, they want to see what your business credit looks like prior to interacting with this particular entity.
Right, right, right. And for the people that are listening, when he says business credit, I know you're talking about having like a DUNS number,
Correct. Yes.
right?
Yes.
Business
Yes.
experience, business credit,
Right. Right.
things like that. And and the parameters on how to improve your business credit score are different than, your personal credit score. Um, so were you already, how long did it take for you to build your business credit for it to get into the position of being able to leverage that for financing for school?
Well, I had business credit for about 5 or 6 years, but it doesn't take as long to build business credit and establish yourself as it does personal credit.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you have a hiccup in your business credit, within you can clean it up within 90 days of consistent payment. It's not as strenuous as personal credit for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason. I guess
Mm-hmm.
because equity involved, but it's not. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe that's something that our listeners can dig into for their future projects, looking into business credit to finance their business projects instead of leveraging their personal credit. Now, does your personal credit come into play for projects like these when you want to purchase a commercial building for a school?
It de- it depends on how established your business credit is. If your business
Mm,
credit is young, then they're going to want backing from personal. If not, for us, it wasn't
okay.
because the school had been established for a long time
Mm-hmm.
and had history. So no, we did not.
Okay. Okay. All right, so I see that you have your book behind you, man. Life lessons learned. Um, when you realized that you were about to write a book, um, how was that process for you? How did you map it out? How was the planning process, and how long did it take for you to actually write your book?
It took 9 to 12 months.
Mm,
Um, and basically outline the chapters of how you want to chop it up. And
mm-hmm,
then once you get the topic in one chapter, you fill in the storyline and move forward, connecting one chapter to the next. But it was my own story. So it wasn't like hard to put it down. It's just putting it down in story form, learning form,
mm-hmm,
each chapter being about, you know, purpose, communication, discipline, is, it's things like that. And then breaking it down where people can understand and learn from it.
mm.
So it's easier to talk about it than it is to write it down in a way where, again, people can take a lesson and learn from it. Currently, it's available on Amazon. I've got 17 5-star reviews, working on more.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So, are you able to give us one of the life lessons that you've learned from the book?
Yeah, yeah. Effective communication. I learned that from um, not assuming what people want in the consultations. So, from a barber's perspective, right? Client sits down and they don't know what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So if they don't have a picture, then communication is more than just talking to somebody, but listening to somebody, reading in between the lines of what they're trying to tell you, but asking effective questions like you're doing in this interview
Mm-hmm.
to pull out the answers that you need to give them the proper service and cut that they want. That's the first aspect. The second aspect is being able to effectively communicate with them over time to build a relationship with them, for them to want to bring in family members or bring in other clients because you've connected with them on the level where they are by, again, effective communication, asking questions, getting to know who they are as a person, remembering things about the previous conversation. So when they come back, you can re-engage with them about their life.
Mm.
And people, when you connect with people on that level, then it becomes more than just a business relationship. Over time, it becomes friend family relationship,
Right.
which
And
is
you increase. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
which is the best part of what I do.
Right, right. I was just going to say, and that's where that lifetime value, increases and comes into play. You said something um that that resonated with me when you just were explaining that life lesson. Um, recently I've kind of adopted a new approach to how I approach business, how I approach barbering. And, you know, I've seen a lot of barbers and entrepreneurs, when they want to start a business, I've noticed that we tend to say we're going to create this product or we're going to create this service and automatically say, well, it sounds like a good idea, so I'm going to go ahead and start trying to sell it and I'm going to start letting people know about it and try to, get people to buy it. However, you don't really know if that's what people want because you haven't asked anybody if that's what they want. And so I've kind of adopted this new perspective of becoming more like a scientist where I'm gathering research, I'm gathering data, I'm asking people what they want, I'm asking people what they like. And then based on the information that I'm receiving, creating a product or a service off of that so that when I say, okay, well, here's the solution to that problem you talked about. And that's kind of what you just mentioned with effective communication with your consultation of the client, actually asking them what they want and listening to them so that you can be able to provide that solution
Bingo.
for them.
Yes, yes. You don't know what the problem is. You don't know what they really need or what they really want. And I've heard this, and I've got this information, feedback, like you said, feedback
Mm-hmm.
from clients over time telling me why they came to me, why they left their other barber, because they would literally say from their mouth, he didn't listen to what I asked him to do. He did what he wanted to do,
All
and I
right.
didn't get what I wanted.
All right. All right. 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 So, and you think that that's something that has really made you stand out and apart from other barbers in the industry, by having that ability to effectively communicate?
Without a doubt, because if anybody ever reads any of my reviews,
Mm-hmm.
they don't just talk about the haircut, but they talk about the service they received. They talk about me as an individual, listening, being able to communicate and talk to them. I mean, the whole experience, because it's an experience.
Mm-hmm. And that's good to have those reviews out there because reviews are so important. Um, when it comes to your customer reviews and your barbershop, um, I've read that you were voted the best barbershop on Booksy back in 2022. How did that award set you apart in your market? Um, and how did customers receive you being able to um, be voted as the best barbershop in your area?
Well, it was a combination of reviews that pushed more volume to me,
Mm-hmm.
but the award came from the reviews, but the
Mm,
reviews and the reward together brought in more volume. So we're like
Mm,
stacked on top of each other. People saw the award. People
mm-hmm,
saw because it's posted on the page. People saw
mm-hmm,
all the reviews, three,
mm-hmm.
400 reviews. They're like, this guy must know what he's talking about.
Right,
This guy must know what he's doing. Let me check him out.
right. And that's a whole lot of social proof. Now was that your reviews for you personally, or was that the reviews for your entire barbershop for you and your barber team?
Well, that was mine personally.
Okay, 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 okay. So when Booksy did that award, I'm just now learning about Booksy and how they do awards and things like that as I've been researching different barbers that I've been speaking to and interviewing. How did Booksy how does Booksy um create those awards and decide on who wins those awards for the best barbershop?
You know, that's a really good question. I really have no idea. It just
Okay.
popped up and it was there. I was like, whoa, how did I get this? It's just because it wasn't like I was like I got a notification prior to saying you've been nominated for. It was just boom, it was there. I was like, wow, okay, that's cool.
Okay.
I'll accept that. Thank you.
It's probably because you had those 300 reviews.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's probably because you had those 300 reviews. That's a lot of reviews, man.
And that
How,
was then. I think it's more now.
right. How important would you say getting customer reviews and getting that social proof is for your business and for the growth of your business?
Priceless. I'll tell you, give you an example. So when
Mm-hmm.
I first created my Yelp page, my Google page, and all the different platforms that I send clients to for reviews.
Mm-hmm.
I Many years ago I started with Yelp, and Yelp, when I opened an account, they asked me did I want to pay for more people to come see my page. I said, sure, that sounds great, right? But at the
Mm-hmm.
time, I had no reviews, right? So it was to no avail. People will come, no reviews. They send all this volume, nothing, right? So after I started asking my clients to leave reviews, and it went from like 5, 10, 15, 20. Now when people come, they see social proof.
Mm-hmm.
Now they hit me up, text, email, can I get an appointment? And the more reviews you get, it's like a domino effect. The more
Mm-hmm.
reviews you have, the more reviews you get, and so on and so forth. But it's priceless. Same thing with my book. Social proof is everything. I
Mm-hmm.
can say I'm the greatest barber in the world or the greatest
Mm-hmm.
author, whatever. But if you don't have somebody else speaking for you using their words
Mm-hmm.
on Google, whether it's Yelp, whatever, that it explodes the business rapidly. And I tell any barber too, or anybody, I tell people who've opened the different businesses, make sure you get your platform with your information on Yelp, on Google, and make sure you tell all your clients especially if you're starting out. Every
Mm-hmm.
single person that comes out your chair and they say they enjoyed your service, can you please leave a review?
They
Now
need to leave
everybody's
that
going
review.
yeah, got to. Because the thing about with social media now is, especially with Booksy, what I do now is I'll take that review and I'll
Mm-hmm.
repost it on all other social media, repost it on Facebook, repost it on Instagram, repost it on TikTok. So then it goes viral.
Mm-hmm. And that's I know that's different from how it was when you first came in the game because the only review you can get back in the day was what word of mouth referral. Like
That's it. That's it. Oh, yeah. And and since it's only word of mouth, then
uh-huh.
if you reaching the people with your business cards that you can touch,
Right.
and then those people can reach the people that they can immediately touch.
Man, these guys
Now
don't
you
know
can
nothing
reach
about business cards these days.
no, mm-mm.
You said now you can reach people how?
Social media.
Right, right, right.
Without literally having to be in front of a person, without literally having to have a conversation with a person, you can
Mm-hmm.
just send it out.
How have you adapted to that? I'm gonna get into your history in a little second here, but like how have you adapted to the social media uh aspect of the barber industry?
I'm not as consistent as I could be, but I'm more consistent than I used to be. Like I'll post um, 2 or 3 times a week, which they say you should post 2 or 3 times a day,
Hmm.
which is a lot.
Right.
But I'm not on it that much. But yeah, I try to grow as much as I can. And I know influencers, real influencers.
Hmm.
I again post 3, 4 times a week or more.
Hmm.
That's just a lot for
So
me.
right now, I get it. I get it. Are you still using traditional marketing and advertising methods like how we used to do back in the day? Are you doing anything like mailers or flyers or business cards?
No, because you stuff like that you can't track.
Those analytics are everything, huh?
Right, exactly. Can't track it. If you can't track
Right.
it, I mean, you're wasting your money.
Right. And you can't capture anybody. A lot of times with the internet, you can, if you got a promo or offer, 10% off, you can, exchange email or a phone number in exchange for the promo code, or and that way you can follow up with them with the flyers and the business cards. You just handing out paper and there's no way to follow up with the person.
The last money I wasted with something like with something like that
Uh-huh.
was when you go into Kroger's and you purchase something and you get a receipt, and on the back of the receipt is coupons, and it
Right.
shows the different business. You come see us and we'll give you $5 off. I did that to no
Mm.
avail. To no avail.
Yeah. Hey, they couldn't have sold me on that one. How much does something like that cost, man?
Like 300 a month.
Ooh. Ooh, you would have been better off paying at the Yelp, man.
Yeah, for real.
Wow. So how long have you been in the barber industry now?
33 years.
33 years. So what year would that put us at when you came?
I
What year?
came I came out of barber school in 89. Went in
89,
88, came out 89. Yeah.
89. Wow.
So
That's
I've seen
that's
a lot change.
that's
A
hey
lot.
man. You like call you Barber Wisdom, man. Father Barber.
Yeah.
So you came out of barber school in 89. What were you doing before you got into barber college?
So I came out of high school and went to junior college, or went to junior college. I was in junior college for 2 years. Um, Wasted a lot of my mom's money, incomplete classes, failed classes, and then I took a year off. And taking that year off, my uncle, who was my mentor, um, put me to the side and says that I'm here to help you, guide you, direct you, but you need to be doing something. You can't just be wasting your time. Either go back to school, um, go to the military, get a trade. Because at the time, I was just dead end job here, dead end job there, pumping gas, doing whatever, working in a convenience store, but
Hmm.
no real project. I mean, no real progress
Hmm.
moving forward. So he said, "I think you'll be a good barber.
What
You
made
good
what
with your
made what
hands."
made him say that?
He said, "You good with your hands. You like to talk sports and chop it up with people. You got a good personality." I said, and at the time, this was 88, been out of
Uh,
school 2 years. I said, well, I didn't have any direction at the time. Sounds good to me. I went to sign up for barber school the next day.
mm,
And then the story begins. And the reason I didn't know at the time, his vision for not just me, but my younger brother and my younger cousin, who's my partner, Marcel, my brother Andre, he
hmm.
knew that they would look up to me and they would follow in my footsteps. So if
Hmm.
I had some direction and I did something positive with my life, they would follow along. Sure enough, um, after I finished barber school, start working, they see I'm making money, I'm doing things, I'm traveling, enjoying life. I think it was my brother went to barber school when he got done with high school. And then shortly after that, my cousin, same barber
Mm,
school, all went to the same barber school, went to barber school. And so my brother, barber for about 15 years. Then he decided to moved in a different direction. He went out and works for Ford in Chicago. And then my cousin Marcel, he barbered for about 15, 16 years. Then he went back to school, got his degree, and he's a psychologist. Plus, he runs day-to-day operations at the school back in Michigan.
Okay. Okay. So, had you ever picked up the clippers, before your uncle mentioned barbering?
I didn't even cut my own hair, never, not at all.
Man, so what was your perception of barbers back then when he said, I know you said you went in enrolled in barber college the next day, but what was the general public perception of barbering back then?
Oh, for me, it was the guy who made me look good, feel good, and had good conversation for me.
Okay. Okay. What were they looked at as successful or a honorable trade or respectable trade or somebody that can make good money or they didn't make money? Like, how was that aspect of it?
Well, one of my cousins who was a barber,
Okay.
I looked up to him.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the most popular barbers in the city at the
Mm-hmm.
time, and but he wasn't as dependable as you would like him to be, and or reliable.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody wanted his cut. So I said to myself, if I could be half as good as him and just
Mm.
show up and do my job and be, dependable and reliable, I'll be great. But it was they were like celebrities.
Okay. Okay. Why were they like what made them be like celebrities is because they was working for themselves at the time or they just because they talked to so many people. The barbershop was social media before social media came out.
Period. Yep, exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Popularity. I
Yeah,
mean,
popularity.
again, it's again, it was social media before social media, but
Uh-huh.
popularity makes anybody famous. Like
Right.
since popularity through social media is magnified 10 times over,
Right.
people are becoming famous for being influencers. It's just again magnified 10 to 100 times over.
Right, right, right. Okay. So your uncle says, "Hey, look, you gotta do something. I'm gonna help you out, but you gotta do something. I think you'll be a good barber." So you go into barber college and you enroll in barber school. Um, how much was barber college back then? Do you remember?
I want to say it was like 20, somewhere around 2,500 or 3 grand.
Ooh, man, mine was 17,000.
I'm sure. Yeah, easy.
What estimates you got for your price for your college?
We charge 10 grand.
Okay, okay. Are you guys gonna be getting into like accreditation and government
Yes,
student loans and
that
stuff like
that
that?
that's the next step to be able to, charge a lot more heftier price.
What
That's
you
the next
got?
step here.
How long you guys have to operate for that in Ohio? I think it was 2 years, or maybe nationwide. Is it 2 years or is it longer than that?
So when I started, it was $2,000,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which in Georgia is 1,500. And then so when I transferred my license, I was grandfathered in because apparently, I had more hours in Michigan than needed here in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
But somewhere between the time I left and now, they dropped it to 1,800 hours, which is
Okay.
about 9 months if you don't miss any time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah,
Okay. So,
and there's no apprenticeship in Michigan compared to here in Georgia. So it's
mm,
only school.
how you feel about that as a school owner?
Um, I think apprenticeship does not prepare you to pass your test because you can't focus on earning money as a barber apprentice and you can't get full information and knowledge from the person you're apprenticing under if he's the owner. He's got too much stuff on his plate to really be able to sit down with you and tutor you to
Mm-hmm.
prepare you to
Mm-hmm.
pass the state board test. That's why most people who are apprentices, when they go to take their state board test, they fail multiple times.
Mm. Man, I'm interested to know, how do you feel about, well, I don't think it exists yet, but if about a concept of online barber college, or a combination of online and apprenticeship. Like, how do you feel about something like that?
I think it could work. I think it'd be a good idea conceptually. Um, but the thing about it is, so it's from a perspective of bookwork, right?
Mm-hmm.
Online, perfect, right? But as far as hands-on, right? Who's helping you with your haircuts?
Mm-hmm.
If the owner's busy doing what he's doing, shopping,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
how can he help you?
Right.
He gonna stop. He gonna stop in the middle of his haircut and go over and check your haircut.
Right.
That's not his focus. I mean, you. If he said that you can only come in when I'm not busy, so then I can help you, then it would be advantageous for both parties.
Mm-hmm.
But financially, it wouldn't be.
Hmm.
And
So
it's hard to focus on learning if you focus on earning.
so are the only people that can become an apprentice instructor shop owners? Can somebody that's not a shop owner become an apprentice teacher?
Yes, you can. But
Mm-hmm.
if you decide, well, I don't want to work at this shop anymore,
Mm-hmm.
the person up under you, if they don't move with you,
Mm-hmm.
then it ends.
Mm.
Has to be up under the same roof.
Right. Right. Do you think that that idea, that conceptual idea, is something as a school owner that you have to keep an eye on in case legislation tries to push for something like that?
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
Mm-hmm. What kind of what kind of, I don't know if you think about it often, but uh have do you, is that something that you think about often, or think about like how to incorporate technology, or the shift in, because things are changing, technology is changing everything. However, we have not really seen technology change the infrastructure of barbering.
No.
We haven't seen that. So, you know, a lot of barbers are offering uh education online. They're offering haircutting classes. Uh I just interviewed someone that does scalp micropigmentation um services. The hair units, you know,
And they
um
train online.
say that again.
And they train online.
No, they don't train online. They train in person.
Okay.
But there are other aspects of barber education that are online, maybe like marketing, barber marketing, or um, maybe even like continuing education courses online,
Now
stuff
that's
like that.
something that I would like to implement is the continuing education
Hmm.
online. I think that's, I mean, because they do that already. Now that's not something that's out of reach.
Hmm. Yeah, it just makes me wonder if sometime in the next decade or so, will the infrastructure of the barber industry change or pivot due to technology? Because you do know that, um I don't know if you've heard, but have you heard of the push across the country for the deregulation of the barber industry?
I have.
Well, what are your, well, I know your thoughts on it, but like, tell us what you think about it.
I don't think it's a good idea. I think it would take a lot of the um, professionalism out of the industry. I think it would take a lot of accountability out of the industry. I think um, that so just looking at barbers that I've worked with and worked around that didn't go to school,
Mm-hmm.
that learned from being the barber, neighborhood barber, from working in the bathroom, their level of customer service, professionalism, sanitation, um, is not at the highest level
Mm-hmm. I mean,
because nobody held them accountable.
to be fair, hey, we can keep it real on a lot of the barbers that come out of barber college, their professionalism and customer service and sanitation is not always on point as well because we do get the sanitation aspect and that's I think that's probably the number one thing that barbers appreciate barber college for is the sanitation aspect. But we hear customers all the time talking about how it's so hard to find a good barber.
Oh yeah,
So how like not from I'm not taking sides or anything like that, but just as far as like critical thinking, how do we assess what technology could possibly do to the infrastructure of barbering? Because uh I've attended meetings down at the state capitol where they were trying to deregulate industries. I've been to barber board meetings where people on the barber boards across certain states are trying to deregulate the
the
industry.
barber boards.
The barber boards, because sometimes on a barber board, you could have somebody that owns a chain of barbershops, like a big chain, a big franchise of barbershops, and they sit on the boards and they believe that if you deregulate the industry, now they can hire more
Anybody and everybody.
barbers and any and everybody to work in their shop. And that's their number one problem is that there's a barrier to entry for
Yeah,
their staffing.
yeah.
So, it's barber boards that are trying to deregulate the industry. They just keep getting outvoted. And people that are school owners and people who can appreciate the licenses, they go down to the state houses, they go down to the board meetings and they lobby against that. Like there is a push, there's a strong push to deregulate it. And so, as a school owner, or just, critically thinking about how technology can shift things in the midst of this push for deregulation, it'd be interesting to know how someone such as yourself, would approach the idea of that, or how you would prepare for something like that, or to push back against something like that as a school owner.
Well, push back strong, yes, no doubt. But to prepare for it, prepare for it, you have to have some type of online class or um, advanced class.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, customer service. This is
Mm-hmm.
how you improve your business through social media. Classes like that you wouldn't normally traditionally get in barber school.
Mm. Yeah. It's it's interesting to see how technology could have possibly affect um the infrastructure of the barber game over the next 10 years or so, man. So I didn't want to jump off to a tangent because I was really interested to see how you came into the barber industry, but we kind of went off on a tangent. Um, Now, when you were back in barber college, um, was it challenging? Because I know a lot of students they have challenges with being able to having to go to barber college all day, not being able to get a paycheck, you know, doing 18 like you said it's 1,800 hours now, and if you go every day, you can possibly get done with that in 9 months, but people still have to pay bills, and a lot of times trying to get done with barber college, you can't work outside of going to barber school. Was it like that for you back then when you were in barber college?
I mean, it was challenging, but bills got to be paid, so I worked. So I was in barber school was Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. I found
Mm-hmm.
a job waiting tables at
Mm-hmm.
a restaurant, and I waited tables straight. Like we got done at 4:30. I was at the restaurant at 5, waited tables till 11:30, 12
14 hours
every
a
day.
days.
Right, every day, and then worked all day Saturday, worked all day Sunday, and I knew it was short term. I knew this is what I needed to do to get
Mm-hmm.
done. Bills had
Mm-hmm.
to be paid. I wanted to get done with school. So since that was a challenge of having to put in that kind of work, I knew I had to get done fast.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I didn't miss any time.
Okay. Um, so you got done with barber college. Do you remember how many hours did you have to complete back
2000.
then? 2000? Okay. So you got done with your 2000 hours and then you transitioned into a barber shop. How was the transition into a barber shop? Were you on booth rent or commission? How was that transition for you?
I was on booth rent, and transition was really smooth. Actually, one of the local barbers at one of the shops they came and recruited me while I was in barber school. And
Oh,
heard
okay.
about me. They
Okay.
came and he would come in like bi-weekly, and I would cut his hair.
Mm-hmm.
And he
Is
would, challenge me and make me use my left hand when I didn't want to use my left
he
hand.
was in there scouting.
Right, right, right. So when I get done at school, there was a chair already ready for me. And the shop that I moved into was like coming to America. I mean,
Mm,
it was literally just like that,
like the movie.
just like the movie. It was just like that. I mean, when I saw the movie, I'm like, that's the shop I used to work in, right?
Wow.
And it was a perfect storm for
Uh-huh.
me moving
Uh-huh.
forward. So I go into the shop, right? One of the busy barbers was out sick for like a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as I'm building my clientele, I'm catching some of his people, most
Mm,
of them, right?
mm-hmm.
Because I'm a new guy, they need somebody. So he come back, most of his people come back, go back to him, but I keep a few, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then after he goes out, another barber went out sick
Mm-hmm.
because these guys are a little bit older than me. So
Mm-hmm.
another barber goes out sick for about a month.
Mm.
So I'm catching his overflow while I'm building my own. So it's not like I came in and I'm just sitting here waiting for people to come. I was busy nonstop.
Hey, Unc, he got it right, man. That's what's up. Okay, so that's not everybody's story right there. A lot of times people, I think my first week cut here, I made $75, man.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Like I said, it was a perfect storm.
so did you now were you able to maintain that clientele, or did you ever have to really get deep into figuring out marketing or advertising or anything like that, or was it pretty much
Well,
set?
what I understood from a barber's perspective back then, since it was on social media, my marketing was any and everywhere I went.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever I saw, whatever I did, because I understood what plays into fact now and then is developing relationships with people,
Mm-hmm.
organically developing relations with you. So back home, I was in bowling leagues. So I'm interacting with people. Guess what I'm doing? I'm passing out cards.
Bowling.
I go to the gym, work out.
Uh-huh.
I'm interacting with people. Guess what I'm doing? I'm passing out cards.
Uh-huh.
I'm at the basketball court. I'm playing ball. Guess what I'm doing? I'm passing out cards.
Mm.
I go out at night. I hang out. Guess what I'm doing? I'm passing out cards. So it was nonstop because I knew that was the only avenue of marketing
And
back
it was
then.
a right, it was a numbers game. The more cards you pass out, the more chances you get.
Right. Right.
Right.
So
Now,
everything I did
uh-huh.
was developing relationships organically. I'm passing out cards. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I do. Come check me out.
Okay. Okay. I remember when I had came in the game and I had realized I wasn't getting any clientele and I had to go out and pass out business cards, it was like a shift that had to take place in my mind because I was used to being an employee, but then I had to start thinking like a self-employed person, because as an employee, they bring the work to you. But as a self-employed person, you have to go get the work.
Right.
And so I remember, having to make that mental shift. And then, I was passing out the business cards. And then I even started doing door hangers. I was going and putting door hangers on people's doorknobs and, apartments around the barbershop. And it was an interesting time until 2008, 2009 when Facebook came out, man.
Right.
Facebook changed the game.
Yep.
So where were you at when Facebook first came out? What were you still working in the barbershop or were you a shop owner by that time?
Now I was when was that? 2008?
2008, 2009.
Well,
Well, we kind of skipped. So when you was working in how long did you work in the shop before you owned your barbershop?
5 years.
Okay. And then from that time moving up until now, you've always been a barbershop owner?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, so I owned a shop in Michigan.
Uh-huh.
Then I sold it and moved to Atlanta.
I
And
got you.
then Atlanta, I worked at different shops before
Okay.
I got my own space. But
Uh-huh.
before there was Facebook, there was
Uh-huh.
MySpace.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Actually, I wasn't in the game with the
I
MySpace
know.
era. So hold on,
Yeah.
was you getting customers from MySpace?
Not really.
Okay, okay.
Not really. I mean, I put some stuff out there, but it wasn't as popular as Facebook.
You remember Black Planet?
Yes,
Okay. Yeah, I remember I was on Black Planet. We weren't doing anything with it though, but um when you moved to Atlanta, what year was that?
that was '03.
Oh three. Okay. So that was the boom. That was the Atlanta boom, wasn't it? When everybody was moving to Atlanta? Or was it a little bit after that?
It was, I think, yeah, it was around then. It was around then. Yeah.
Okay. How was your adjustment, moving from Michigan down here to Atlanta? Was it
It was cha-
difficult?
it was challenging trying to find the right location.
Uh-huh.
Uh, the worst part was a year and a half later, '08, when it was the economic collapse.
Yeah, I
And
remember that.
yeah, folks was holding tight to their money. So then I had to like pick up a part-time job while I'm, cutting hair because, folks is not coming in as often.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Do you feel like
went back.
we in somewhat of a similar time right now?
I do.
Me
I
too.
do. And I've talked to other people in barbering industry and in service industry, and they've
Hmm.
noticed that people at first I thought it was me. And I was like, then I started talking to other people, and they were like, people aren't coming in as frequent. Like,
That's why
people
that's
who
why that's why I asked you.
right, people who will come in once a week are coming every two, people who come in every two, coming every three, and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, so anybody who is watching right now in the comments, let us know in the chat if you are feeling the same thing. If you feel like your clients are not coming in as frequently as they used to, due to the economy, let us know in the chat. I'd be interested in seeing if anybody is also experiencing that. Um, so okay, so you end up getting established in Atlanta, and then you open up your barbershop uh here in Atlanta and now and with you still having roots back in Michigan, you've been able to open up the barber college. So I wanted to pivot a little bit um to something that you also let us know about because you started to talk about your challenges a little bit. You mentioned that you lost your leg in June of 2023 and that you had to be away from your business for about 6 weeks. First, before I ask you about that, how are you doing?
oh, I'm great.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So how have you been able to navigate that type of situation? Because that's a barber's worst nightmare. You know, we 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 stand up all day and we're cutting our customers, and our legs and our hands, our legs and our arms and hands are, we probably need to have insurance on our body, as much as we use it. But like, how have you been able to navigate that type of challenge?
Well, I was got out of the hospital. So first of all, I lost my leg from blood clots,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in the hospital 5, 6 weeks. Got out of the hospital, and I was home for about a week. And I was like, I'm tired of being confined. I'm
Uh-huh.
losing my mind because I'm used to being, as barbers, we're used to interacting and engaging with people all day long, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize until I went back to work in about a week, but it was I went back um for 2 to 3 days a week, for about 5 to 6 hours, to
Mm-hmm.
work my way back in slowly. I'm on crutches. I'm sitting in a stool
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't get my prosthetic until December of
Mm-hmm.
2023. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm crutching it. I'm sitting in a chair. Um, and I didn't realize that being back in that environment would, and sharing, like I'm sharing my story now with my clients, was like my therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I kept them abreast in the progress of what was going on because they obviously wanted to know, they were concerned. And
Mm-hmm.
Booksy helped me do that. I would send out email and text blasts of my progress, and um, when I got out of the hospital, and then when I was ready to come back, so they would know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it was challenging. Just building up the endurance to work back to going from 3 days to 4 days, 3 days, half days, to 3 days, 6, 8 hours,
Mm-hmm.
to 3 days all day, and then 4 days, and then 5 days. So took about 90 days to get back to full speed as far as the stamina of, you know, sitting and standing. Because, I would sit for the majority and I would stand up a little bit, yes, on
Mm-hmm.
one leg.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Yeah, and then getting back into the gym helped things too.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, once I got my prosthetic in December, that really helped things
Mm-hmm.
because then I can actually, stand with 2 legs.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people didn't come back because they found another barber and stayed. I would say I
Mm-hmm.
probably lost about 25% or 30% of my business.
Mm-hmm.
But then, there were people that didn't get a haircut the whole time and
Right.
came back.
Right. Wow. Wow. So you mentioned a couple things there. Um, you mentioned the blood clots. Are you do you know how, I'm sure barbers would want to know, um if they could try to prevent this as much as possible. Do you know what contributed to the blood clots forming or anything like that?
I don't. And the doctors don't either. They did multiple tests to try to determine what the factor was, and they were clueless because it wasn't from um, family history or diabetes or lifestyle, smoking or drinking or anything like that, which typically it would be. So they had no idea.
Okay.
But
What?
I would always tell barbers, even before this happened, is to stay active, um, live a healthy lifestyle, eat right. Um, but even when standing, obviously, wear compression socks because you're standing all day.
Mm,
Um, when you get done um, standing all day, make
mm-hmm.
sure you have a regimen of actively moving, whether it's walking or running, because the more you move, the better off you are. Simple as that.
Yeah. And that's hard, man. That could be hard for a barber because I know for myself, after cutting, for a long day, the
You
first
don't
thing
want
you
to
want to do is just sit
sit down.
down. And it will be times where I get done cutting and I can't sit down in the barber shop because if I do, I'm gonna be here for a whole nother hour. So let me just go ahead and get clean my station and go ahead and go home because as soon as I
Yep.
sit down, I'm gonna be up here for a whole nother hour.
Yep.
But you say it's important to kind of figure out how to stay a little active after you get done cutting.
Gotta have active regimen. Yeah.
Mm, okay. And so you recommend like healthy eating and going to the gym,
Yeah.
and staying fit as a barber.
Hmm.
Okay. The other thing that you had mentioned was that how when you actually came back to work and you started talking to your clients and sharing your story, how it started becoming a therapy for you. Like,
Hmm.
what was it that made it actually therapy for you? Like, how was it making you feel to be able to share your story? Like, how was it working positively for you?
Well, I shared with them not just the experience, but I
Mm-hmm.
shared with them what was what allowed me to be able to come back and move forward. And I shared this with my family when I was in the hospital that I wasn't going to allow the experience of losing my leg define me as a person.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to do that, it was I had to get back to living a normal life that I had before and not let the limb loss define me or own me.
Mm-hmm.
So I would share that story with them because
Mm-hmm.
they were curious. They wanted to know what happened, how it happened, how I felt about it. And the more I talked about it, the less it owned me, and the more I owned it, and the more could talk about it from a third person and not talk about it from an emotional point of, oh my God, this is what happened to me. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
it's a story I'm telling like now.
Mm-hmm. Have you had any other barbers personally reach out to you to talk to you about it or to try to, you know, put put themselves in your shoes if, something like that was to happen to them, like how would they, prepare for that? Have you had any barbers or anybody reach out to you?
It's interesting that you asked that. So I worked with a barber
Mhm.
for many years that had lost his limb and was an amputee, left leg, like myself. Um, I think he lost it when I think, in his 20s, but he's been amputee for a long time. And he reached out to me when he heard, and I stay in contact with him. And yes, I mean, other barbers reached out to me to show support that I've
Mhm.
worked with for a long time, but
Mhm.
his was more influential because he went through what I'm going through. So
Mm.
he could tell me things and, that hit home in a positive way. So yeah.
Okay. Um, how has this experience influence your approach to adversity and resilience on a personal and professional level?
Um, Personal and professional is just allowed me to understand that everybody, people ask me, how are you able to come back in such a way?
Hmm.
Resilience is the word. Hence,
Right.
that's why I used it in my book.
Right.
But everybody has issues. Everybody has problems that they're working through. Only difference is you can see what mine is.
Hmm.
So moving forward, the reason I'm writing the book is to be able to. One of my clients said to me just the other day, and these are some of the things again, learning from my clients, learning lessons from barbering. He says that people, as long as you keep telling your story, people don't know that you can heal from whatever it is you go through until they see your scar, whether it's
Mm.
physically, mentally, emotionally. But they see your scar and it's like, oh, he made it through that, so I can too. So to
That's
talk
good.
about
That's
it,
real good.
write about it, sharing with other people, start doing some speaking. I have a speaking engagement 14th of May to share my story with other people, to let people know you can move forward. Life is not going to end, whatever it is.
Mm. Man, I just want to say I appreciate you for being on this stage and speaking to other barbers and shop owners and barber school owners and different things like that. Because as barbers, that's one of the fears that we have. You know, most of the time you would say, "Well, dang, if I lost my hands," but it could be any limb or anything like that. So, honestly, I really just want to say I appreciate you for coming on our platform and sharing this story because the resilience that you showing, um, and how you've been able to take things that happen to you and turn it into a positive situation, like how you did with your life lessons that you learned from barbering, and now this experience you taking this and turning it into something that you can leverage. Like that requires a certain type of mindset and a certain type of outlook and a certain type of attitude. And so to see that you are able to do that, I can see how it definitely gives other people permission, to
Yeah.
say I could do the same thing. So I appreciate you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for
Definitely,
having me.
definitely, man. So, I know you just mentioned your book that you're coming out with called Resilient Standing Tall on One Leg, and you have some speaking engagements coming up. So, when it comes to the marketing and planning strategies for your new book, I'm assuming that coming on the platforms like this and doing speaking engagements is a part of the marketing and planning process. But are there any other types of marketing and planning strategies that you have in play, for getting your book out there?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So my website, resilientstandingtall.com, you can go there, download the first chapter. But what's also accessible is I have a blog and
Mm-hmm.
I put it out once a week, and it's inspirational content for people to sign up and read and engage with, creating again the social content for people to engage with, getting the email list. So then when the book comes out, I already have people engaged, and
Mm-hmm.
then I can send out emailers. The book has been launched. Go out and buy. So that's the
Oh.
biggest one. Then I have a Instagram page as well,
Mm-hmm.
Resilience Standing Tall, that I post on. But the biggest thing is my blog.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and I was able to check out your blog and read some of the articles that you have put on there so far.
What did you
So,
think?
hey man, I like it. I like where you're going with it. I wanna tap into that a little bit more too. Um, because it tapped into some of the things about technology that I wanted to kind of go into. But before I go deeper into that technology side of things, um, where what's your plans for retirement? Like, what's your strategy as a barber? I'm gonna say a barber entrepreneur. What is your plans or strategy for retiring? Because I know you got to be thinking about that coming up in the future. A lot quicker than a lot of barbers that are out here, and they need some direction on how to retire as a barber. Like, what kind of strategies and plans do you have in play?
Well, one being the barber school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, two, getting into speaking engagements, and three, I would to say retire would mean just quitting, right? And I still would want to do at least maybe 2 days a week, you
Right.
know, just for the love of it, the engagement of interacting with people, because it's just cut that off is just I just can't see it.
Right.
It's just too much fun.
Nah, I
You
get it,
know,
man. I get it.
engaging with my clients, talking about the sports and all. It's just too much fun, man.
Nah, I get it, man. So I guess when you say you still want to be able to do it, you'll do it, but I'm assuming you're going to be in a position where you don't have to do it. Am I
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Okay. So you're doing it for the love of it at that, it's not paying it's not doing it to pay bills or stuff like
Right.
that.
Right.
Okay.
Not
Okay.
not 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 for necessity purposes, but for the love of it.
Right. Right. Now I get it. I get it. Okay. So you said that you are using the barber school as one of your vehicles for retirement. And so I know that with having a school, you are probably creating a process and creating a system to where it eventually be able to operate on its own without you being there. Hence, you being able to retire, and it's still generating an income.
Yeah.
Would I be correct in assuming that?
Yeah. Yeah. Because we have instructors that run everything. Because my cousin, he's he monitors things
Mm-hmm.
because he's not there on the day to day.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so with that being said, you know, up until this point, you've been operating as a self-employed barber,
Correct.
meaning you as barbers, we trade our time for money. And when we
Right.
don't work, we don't eat.
Right.
But now it seems like you're transitioning into a business owner model to where you're trying to create a system that works for you so that you don't have to trade your time for the to make the income. How is the mental transition for you in terms of, mentally saying, okay, I gotta work in order to make my money and I gotta, I'm self-employed, so if I don't work, I don't eat, to going to, okay, now I'm a business owner and I gotta create processes, I gotta create systems, I gotta manage people to do the work for me. And now I gotta somewhat be hands off. I'm not necessarily going in there. Like, how's that mental transition going from a self-employed person to a business owner?
Well, it's not. It's never an overnight transition. It's a transition that's been evolving over time by looking at other people who are doing such, reading about other people who've done such. So it's a day-to-day, week-to-week transition over time. So it's not like hit the switch.
Mm-hmm.
It's, that's why I start. That's why I became an author. So
Mm-hmm.
another avenue of generating revenue through publishing books,
Mm-hmm.
um, speaking engagements, social media. Um, I have product line. I have shampoo, pomade, things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
these things I've been developing over time. So it's not like, again, being organized, being focused, and having a plan prior to the end coming, seeing it coming, but knowing how you want it to end.
Mm, okay. Okay. So has there ever been a struggle with you wanting to be hands-on with everything in terms, because as
No,
barbers, a lot
no,
of us are
no,
perfectionists. But that's not an issue for you.
no, no.
So you welcome that being the hands off.
Yes.
It's because you get the big picture, huh?
Mm-hmm. Because you can't do everything.
Right. Right. That do you struggle with leadership and building teams or anything like that?
No, no. The thing about leadership is if you one have good examples, it helps.
Mm-hmm.
Two, if you know the process is learning to be a good follower creates good leaders.
Say that again.
Learning how to be a good follower creates
Mm-hmm.
good leaders because if you're paying attention as a follower to your leader, then you're
Mm-hmm.
learning from his steps. So
Mm-hmm.
then when the process comes for you to lead, you know how to step into it
That was
if
good.
you're paying attention.
Yeah, that was real good. And who I know you mentioned your uncle being one of your mentors. Who are or do you have any other mentors? or role models that you look up to in terms of like leadership or entrepreneurship?
Oh no, well, my uncle's the biggest one. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Shout out to Unc. All right. What what's the biggest thing? I know that you've said discipline and focus and planning are some of the strengths that you have. What would you say the biggest lessons that you've learned about entrepreneurship?
Well, not just entrepreneurship, but just life is um understanding that there's growth in your failures and you build
Mm,
resilience through the failures to become strong because it's not the end result, but it's the journey along the path of your failures that gets you to the next level each and every time.
mm,
But if you only look at your failure as, oh, I wasn't able to accomplish what it is that I was trying to in that moment,
mm-hmm,
but look at what you learned in that moment from
mm-hmm,
that if you learn from it,
mm-hmm,
and if you take it in that perspective, then you can move forward.
mm. That's good because that type of mindset it almost builds up a certain type of invincibility to failure because what you just said is that you you don't want to fail, but you welcome failure if it comes because the way you're gonna look at it is you're gonna learn from it and you accepting the journey. You accepting the journey. So what you saying is don't be afraid of failure and don't let failure stop you from moving from growth.
Yeah, don't get stuck in it.
Don't get stuck
A
in
lot
it.
of, a lot of people get stuck in it.
Mm, okay. That's good. That's real good. Um Now we talked a little bit about the technology. And I know you did mention the blog, and I want to come back to that. I see that you are incorporating artificial intelligence into your business model now. So, what are your thoughts about artificial intelligence and how it's going to impact the barber industry?
Well, from a marketing perspective,
Uh-huh.
um, it's priceless as far as you can take an idea that's this big
Mm-hmm.
and drop it in to AI, and AI can make it this big.
Right, right, right.
Like, for example, my cover for my current book is
Uh-huh.
AI text to image.
Okay. Okay.
So it's
I
like
keep I
having
keep
a basic, it's a digital assistant.
I keep telling
It,
barbers, man, they better not sleep on this AI, man. So you on board with artificial intelligence from a barbering perspective?
yeah,
Okay. Do
especially
you
from a perspective of marketing your
uh-huh.
services.
Mm-hmm.
If you learn if people learn how to use it through
Mm-hmm.
prompting and telling it what to do, then it can be advantageous. But if you don't, then you look at it like this alien that's going to take over,
Right.
which is
And it's
ridiculous.
yeah, and it's not gonna take over. I keep telling people that learn how to use it because I think it is gonna make it more competitive, especially if you don't know how to use it, because barbers like yourself, I use AI for over 50% well over 50% of my operations and what I do. I've been speaking with barbers that I've interviewed that are starting to tap in Generation Z. They're tapping into artificial intelligence. Um, Now I do know that you probably we're almost done here, but I do know that you probably have some barber colleagues that have different opinions about technology and the internet and artificial intelligence and things like that. Have any of your peers that you've come up with in the barber industry talk to you about any negative thoughts about how they feel about technology and the internet or how it's impacted them?
Um, I haven't had a lot of conversation with other barbers about it, but most of the people I've talked to about it, either they know about it and are implementing, or they're the other far end and
Hmm.
know little to anything about it, but what people told them about it, and they look at it as adverse because they lack understanding about it.
Hmm. Did was social media one of them things that you hesitated to get into when it came out, or did you jump into it headstrong, head in
Oh
first?
no, I was hesitant.
Okay, okay.
I mean, all of the different nuances I was hesitant with, even from the perspective of the era of going from clippers with cords to cordless clippers. I was
Hmm.
like, what's the point? I mean, it costs more, but my clippers with the cords do the same. So what's the big deal? And then eventually, when I got a pair, I was like, wow,
They made them stronger now, man. Because that wasn't
yeah,
that was me and you know that wasn't the first time they tried to do cordless.
right.
And before, when they tried to do it the first time, they wasn't powerful enough.
No, not at all.
Right.
Batteries are weak.
So, do you think that this artificial intelligence era that we entering into, do you think that this is similar to how social media came in and took over everything? Do you think that artificial intelligence is coming in that same type of way and about to take over everything?
I do, but I think it's going to be more impactful
Hmm.
and and faster.
And faster. I keep telling them, man, when you've been in the game for such a while, you have a special insight that other people don't have. You have the ability to see trends better than somebody that's newer in the game. And a lot of people, a lot of barbers, they didn't see what it was before the internet and how it affected everything. So it's hard for them to see this artificial intelligence trend and how impactful it's going to be. And I know that even with the recession, you saw the recession in '08, and so now you could see, how it is now. And I keep telling barbers like, man, don't sleep on this trend. Don't sleep on this
Yeah,
trend right now. So, what would you say? And when it comes to technology, is your strongest technology skill set that you have?
really just having a open mind to it
Yeah.
and understanding the benefits of it and diving into
Mm-hmm.
how it can help and improve all aspects of it. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So just having an open mind and not being just having an open mind and not being slow to accept it because you don't want to miss out on anything.
Correct.
Now I
Not
get that.
resistant to it.
Right, right. Okay. So hopefully any barbers that are out here listening right now when it comes to technology and artificial intelligence, that's my passion. Technology is one of my passions and I'm very passionate about the internet. So one of the things that we want to do with the podcast is to try and educate barbers and barbering entrepreneurs about the advantages of using technology and to not be resistant to it. So hopefully, um, they're taking this to heart. And I want to go into one last segment with you, Travis. And before we go, we like to go into a segment that we call "That's a Bet" podcast trivia, and it gives us an opportunity to learn more about your likes, dislikes, and opinions about different topics in pop culture and in the barber industry. And so the way that works is we just ask you a question, a either or statement. We'll give you two options, and then you'll have the ability to choose one option and then let us know why you chose that particular option. So, are you ready?
Yeah. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Let's see where you are. We'll start kind of easy, and then we'll see if we can make it a little bit more challenging for you. So, you just mentioned you were just talking about clippers and wireless clippers. Where are you at for on Babyliss Pro or Andis Clippers?
Wow. Okay, well, I started out an Andis guy, obviously, because they've been around the game for a long time.
Right.
But I like the evolution of Babyliss, and I have more Babyliss now than Andis. So is Andis that's a bet? Yes. I
Okay,
like
he's sticking with home team.
Babyliss.
Oh, so you going to Babyliss?
Yes, Babyliss.
Okay, Babyliss. So, you said you like the evolution. What is it about Babyliss that you like better than the Andis?
Um, Color choices.
Okay.
I like that. Um, they're quieter than Andis.
Hmm.
Battery life is longer. Um, I like how they came. They came first with the clipper mounts
Yeah.
where you don't have to, plug in.
Yeah.
Compare and this they were slow on that. But I like that. Um, you can. I like how they take barber influencers and put them on the front cover.
Okay.
I think that's cool
Uh-huh.
as far as marketing. So I think they're more on the edge.
Okay, more modern.
Yes.
Okay. And it's got that classic feel to them.
Yeah.
So, okay. And I like Babyliss too, because they're lighter. And they,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know,
Yep.
the
Definitely. Like,
Andis,
oh
the
yeah.
Andis do a number on our shoulders, man.
Oh, it's like cutting with a brick.
That little 2 pounds, man, feel like a brick, like the more you hold it.
Man.
All right. Android or Apple?
Oh, I always Android. I've always been Android. The only Apple product I ever had was um iPod,
Uh-huh.
and I had an iPad. But as far as
Okay.
phone, I've always had Android.
Okay.
I
So
like the diversity in Android slash Samsung to be able to do what you want and adapt the phone, customize it. Apple, they don't want you to change nothing.
hey, I think Apple is starting to feel the effects of that too, because their market share is declining right now.
I saw that.
Yeah, man. So it's hard. I'm on Team Apple, man. But I got iPhone 12 right now, but I'm not interested in getting iPhone 16, 17, 18, 19. I'm just, they need to do something different. But okay, so you Team Android. Let's go with see, walk-ins or appointments.
Appointments all day long. Appointments. And so I transitioned to so when I went to an app to take appointments, which I
Uh-huh.
first started using Style Seat probably 6, 7 years ago, right? I was doing I was trying to do both, but that didn't work
Right.
because then I had running late on appointments because a walk-in will come in. So then when I transitioned to Booksy, I went strictly appointments because I want to be able to control people coming and going. I want to be able
Mhm.
to know um, who's going to be when and where. I want to be able to block a time off. I mean,
Mhm.
people will find me online through my Google page or my Yelp page, and they'll call. Can I walk in? I'm sorry, I don't do walk-ins. You can go
Right.
online, you can schedule because I don't want people to feel like they can just walk up on me anytime they want. I want to have full control. So that's
Right.
why I want to do just appointments.
Okay. Okay. I know the customers probably feel got mixed feelings about this. Because well, yeah, mixed feelings because I know some of them they used to enjoy coming to the shop to sit down, you know, for the barbershop conversations and just a good time. But now customers with barbers moving to appointments, customers just in and out, in and out, in and out. And but there's a lot of customers that appreciate that too, where they not sitting in the shop all day. So
And
that
the thing about appointments compared to having people lined up is the client appreciates to be able to get in and out because
mm,
that type of client values the time.
mm-hmm,
And then you have that isolated one-on-one conversation with what they want to talk about and not
mm-hmm,
what everybody wants to talk about.
mm-hmm. I feel that. I feel that. All right, let's go with here's a good one. Uh and you a sports guy too.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
I'm gonna say Mike because that's the era I grew up in watching as the GOAT.
Where's the data for that, man? Where's the data for that?
6 championships.
Okay, so Mike over. I was just watching Steve. You watch Stephen
Yeah,
A. Smith?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just watching Stephen A. talk about this, and he's Michael Jordan fan over LeBron too.
Mhm.
And one of the things he mentioned is just because it was it was it was much more physical
Oh,
back then. You know, you had Rodman, you had Bill Laimbeer, you had Isaiah Thomas, you know how it was.
I love that era. I miss that era. That was
So
that was the era of when people really played defense.
right, right. But so they say if LeBron, they say LeBron couldn't have survived in that era. Do you think he couldn't have survived in that era, or do you think he would have had the open door to become aggressive and be physical just like them? You think he would have adapted, or you think he would have just said, "Nah, this is too tough"?
I think he's enough of an athlete. He would have adapted
That's what I think. That's what I'm saying. I don't see why he keep using that analogy like LeBron couldn't handle it back then.
because you don't play 20 years and not have some toughness and
It-
resilience and an ability to adapt and evolve. That's a long time.
right, right. Yeah, they about to get put out right now though.
I know, right?
All right. We got just a couple more, man. Let's go with okay, here's a good one. A barber shop or a salon suite.
Salon Sweet.
Okay, why you choose salon suite over the barber shop?
Um, so I like the privacy, the control of the environment because when you're in an environment with and we touched on this in the beginning, everybody's level of professionalism and customer service isn't the same. And I've worked in many shops where the person next to you may be having a conversation that the person in my chair doesn't want to engage with. The
Hmm.
person next to me to the right or left may come in smelling an aroma of trees that the person in my chair doesn't want
Right,
to
right,
smell. You
right,
know, all those little things. A woman may come in with her child, and the person next to me may be listening to something that is inappropriate. These are the things that you cannot control. The TV may be playing something that's inappropriate for a child. But when you're in the suite, you control everything.
right, right. Okay, so you like that control and creating that customized experience over the barber shop. Okay. All right. Let's go with this last one. This will be a good one for you. I like to see where you land on this one. Um, Haircuts with natural hairlines or haircuts with enhancements on the hairline.
I'm old school. I'm natural all day long. Um, I saw that people around me were doing it and other people were requesting it. So I added fibers to my repertoire for those who would request it. But the majority of my clients don't. I have one or two. So no, natural.
Natural hairline. And that's something, man. You know, we like as barbers, we like to do what we like, but then we kind of get bullied and pressured into doing things when they start coming in saying, man, I want the enhancements, man. It's like, dang, like I don't want to look like I can't do it. Yeah,
So
man.
yeah, yeah. So you, I added it to it for if somebody asks.
Right.
But
Okay. That was good, man. You got me in tears a little bit over here. All right, man. So I appreciate you for coming on, Travis. How can the barbers reach out to you or anybody watching if they want to contact you? How can they reach out to you?
well, Instagram haircuts by Travis.
Hmm.
Um, and then for my book is Resilient Standing Tall on Instagram and or resilientstandingtall.com to download the first book or sign up for my blog for the website. And that's pretty much the main two that they can hit me up with.
Okay, thank you, man. I thank you. I appreciate you for being on the show and coming to share your journey today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so that's all the time that we have for today. Make sure you guys catch us on the next episode where we talk about the intersection of barbering, entrepreneurship, and technology. Because as always, that's a bet.
Bet.
All right, man. How you
All right now.
feel?
Good.
Appreciate you, man. Hey, whew, you had some gems, man. You got a lot of wisdom and a lot of resilience, man. Very inspirational, very motivational. Um, you dropped some nuggets, made me really think about my um my levels of discipline and how much that could impact me if I stay with it. I've been personally working on, you know, my discipline and understanding the difference between that and motivation. So I appreciate you for coming on, man. We're gonna get this chopped up and get it out to you so that you can share it with your platforms, and hopefully it works out for you so that you can use it for more book sales and building your barbering community around your business, man.
I'll definitely do that. Look forward to it. Let me know. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Travis, man. Appreciate